Chapter 21. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. The situation outside Yuqing quickly understood what Tang Susu was doing. A trace of embarrassment flashed across his impatient and handsome face, and he was stunned. When did this woman become so greedy? She wouldn't even let the valuables on the zombies go. Susu, come back. A huge wave of zombies is coming. Tang Mingqi urged. Tang Susu couldn't help but look at the bank across the street with regret. She quickly walked past Yuqing without even stopping for a moment, as if he was just air. That speed was so fast that Yuqing didn't expect it. Could it be that her weak and sickly physique from just walking 2 steps was an act? He knew it. Yuqing hurriedly followed. With a bang, the giant iron door closed, and more than 20 zombies pounced at him. Greenish-gray arms reached in through the crack of the door, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws as much as they could, like fierce ghosts from hell demanding lives. They squirmed densely, and the scene was terrifying. Tang Mingzhou raised his crossbow and was about to shoot them to death, but Tang Susu quickly stopped him. Don't worry. There's an iron gate between us. Don't waste your arrows. She gave him a look, and Tang Mingzhou immediately understood her use. Without another word, he put away his crossbow. Yuqing unconsciously frowned. Although his good friend was usually tolerant of this delicate girl, he had a bottom line. The commotion caused by so many zombies might attract more zombies. If he did not get rid of them, it would definitely be a hidden danger. Thinking of this, he said, some zombies have a certain level of intelligence. They might be able to break in. It's fine. We can practice. Tang Mingqiu's phoenix-like eyes gleamed with a cold light, filled with confidence. Yes, but Cheng, why did you come so late? How are things outside? Mr. Tang asked worriedly. On the way back, Yuqing told them what he knew. It suddenly broke out in the middle of the night last night, and many people were bitten in their sleep. According to our observation, this virus spreads very quickly and can turn a person into a zombie in 3 minutes. So, even though the relevant departments made preparations, they were still caught off guard. Tang Susu's eyebrows twitched when she heard the word related department. She wasn't surprised that Yuqing knew about this. As one of the harems of the female lead, his background was naturally extraordinary. His late father was a famous entrepreneur with wealth comparable to a country's. Although he did not inherit the family business, he had received a lot of property. Most importantly, he had an uncle who was a military officer in the North China military region. He thought highly of him, and he would be a great help to Qingya in the future. Yuqing explained the characteristics of the zombies. Although the Tang family knew better than him, they were all good actors. They didn't show any strange expressions, but nodded with serious expressions and asked questions from time to time. Mr. Tang, for instance. You're saying that this virus is similar to the rabies virus and will be infected if bitten by the host, but not necessarily if touched. That's the case for now. Maybe the virus in the zombie's nails isn't much, but it may evolve further. We don't know what will happen after that. The subsequent infection speed would slow down, but by then, the number of zombies would be so high that it would make scalps numb. What was even more terrifying was that even animals and plants would mutate. The members of the Tang family thought to themselves. Yuqing glanced at her and saw a bright smile in Tang Susu's clear eyes. He was stunned for a moment and immediately looked away. No one can escape the apocalypse. Everyone must have the ability to protect themselves, or they will die. He said directly. Tang Susu nodded in agreement. Thus, she had to complete the mission as soon as possible. Leveling up was one thing, but she also had to master a set of powerful martial arts skills. She had learned mixed martial arts for self-defense before, so she had no problem dealing with ordinary zombies for the time being, but it might not be the same in the future. Chapter 22. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Plot change, few. We smell. As soon as they got home, they couldn't help but rush to their respective rooms to wash off the blood and stains on their bodies. The villa was over 1,000 square meters in size, with a total of 6 bedrooms and 6 guest rooms. Each bedroom was equipped with a luxurious private guard and a super large bathtub for bathing. There was also a public bathroom for guests to use. The water came from Tang Susu's infinite water storage device, which was connected to the electric water heater, the gas water heater, and the solar water heater, which could provide hot water. This ensured that they could take a comfortable and soft hot bath at all times. Tang Mingzhou was a little envious, but he still accompanied Yu Cheng to his house. They knew about the villas in Suadi Lake Gardens because Yu Cheng had bought one of them here before. It was right next to the villa, and it was very convenient for the two families to live next to each other. Yu Cheng had forgotten that she had property here. All of his assets had been entrusted to Mingzhou to manage. If he had not reminded her in advance that he lived in the penthouse in the city center, the place with the highest traffic, she might have fallen for it. At the same time, in front of his apartment, a fair and slender hand was desperately knocking on the door. "Is anyone home? I beg you to open the door, the zombies are coming." Chengya. The man's big hand reached over and held her tightly, panting with difficulty. "Don't cry, I won't let anything happen to you." Chengya looked at the black scratch marks on his neck. Her pupils contracted, and she patted his neck hard again. "No, no, he can't be gone. Open the door, quickly." The man wanted to ask her why she had come here, but a low groan came from behind him. He quickly clenched the iron bar in his hand and coughed up a mouthful of blood. He blocked the girl behind him with a determined look. "Run." As soon as he finished speaking, he waved his rod and went up to meet the attack. No, Chengya ran to the stairs. She thought of something and quickly turned back. "I can't leave." The man was almost pounced on by the zombie. Seeing this, he was moved. "Chengya, Luo." He instantly exploded with shocking power and smashed the zombie's head with one strike. Then, the second and third zombies followed. In a few breaths, under the young lady's worried gaze, Jin Ziyu almost achieved a desperate counterattack. Chengya heaved a sigh of relief when she saw that. She took the initiative to hold the man's hand. "Brother Ziyu, are you all right?" The man clutched his chest and coughed out another mouthful of blood, but he smiled at her to comfort her. "It's okay. I'm fine in the inside." He looked at the tightly shut door and furrowed his eyebrows. Chengya's eyes flickered. "I'm not sure, but can you stay here with me for one day?" "Just one day." Jin Ziyu didn't ask for the reason and only said, "All right," gently. On the other side, Tang Susu was standing under the misty shower and enjoying the bath. However, she was thinking about something else. In the plot, Yu Cheng should be in his favorite apartment, meeting the female lead for the first time. The next day, which was tomorrow, his uncle would send the army to pick him up, and the female lead would also be taken away. But now that the plot had changed, she didn't know how it would develop. She believed that there was a strange attraction between the male and female protagonists and that they would meet no matter where they went. She just wanted to lead a good life with her family in the apocalypse. In order to reverse the plot that was unfavorable to her, the best way to deal with it was to avoid the main characters, especially Chengya. So, in order to reduce the trouble as much as possible, she should get rid of Yu Cheng. Chapter 23. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Buying a batch of guns and ammo after taking a shower, Tang Susu dried her wet hair and went downstairs. She saw a certain someone sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed and talking to her big brother. As one of the male protagonists of Apocalyptic Love, the original owner had liked this man for many years. Yu Cheng's appearance was naturally superior to hers, and he had a strong domineering aura. However, he was wicked with a forked tongue. During the open beta, he was considered controversial by the players. He was a character that people loved and hated at the same time. The scene of her being together with her elegant big brother was quite pleasing to the eye. Suddenly, as if he had noticed her sizing him up, the man raised his eyes. "Are these bullets enough?" Tang Mingzhou was fiddling with a pitch-black pistol. After not receiving a reply for a long time, he followed his line of sight and saw a young girl wearing a beige satin nightdress, revealing a pair of porcelain white legs, standing on the stairs and looking over. He blocked his sister's slender figure without a trace. Yu Qing calmly retracted his gaze and snorted. "No chest and no butt, what's there to look at?" Tang Mingzhou immediately gave him a rude kick and turned to look at the young lady who was walking toward them worriedly. Since high school, he and Yu Qing had been classmates and later became good friends. Yu Qing often came to visit their house, and as time passed, they became familiar with each other. Thus, Susu also fell for him. They had liked each other for so many years. No matter how many times they suffered, they were always been the same and never gave up. They had almost carved their love into their bones. However, the situation he was worried about did not happen. Even Yu Qing, who had already formed an instinctive resistance and avoidance, didn't have time to raise his head. As soon as Tang Susu came over, she was attracted by the guns and ammunition on the coffee table. There were more than 10 Browning automatic pistols, revolvers, Mossberg M500 shotguns, TAC.50 sniper rifles, submachine gun armor, and a large bag of ammunition. Her eyes were shining. Wasn't this the equipment they were lacking? Yu Qing leaned back on the sofa and raised his eyebrows slightly. With her expression, people who didn't know her would have thought that she knew guns. "Which one do you like?" Seeing that she was happy, Tang Mingzhou's mood improved as well. He indulged her and allowed her to choose. He had asked Yu Qing to get these guns. They might not be as good as the ones in her mall, but he still wanted to do his best to give them to her so that she could rely on him instead of using her soft shoulders to carry a heavy burden that did not belong to her. Tang Susu picked up the cool shotgun and looked at it curiously. In the game, she liked to use this kind of weapon with strong firepower and a large area of effect. The instant-firing pellets were numerous and dense. It was satisfying to kill the enemy, and the visual effect was also amazing. However, it consumed too much ammunition. The long-range penetration was weak, and it was suitable for close combat. She won't understand even if you let her see it. "Here, I've specially found a lady's pocket pistol. It has a small recoil, is easy to carry, and is beautiful." The mockery in Yu Qing's voice almost materialized as she said the last sentence. In the blink of an eye, Tang Susu had loaded the gun in her hand. When the black muzzle of the gun slowly moved from bottom to top, her pink lips slightly curved, and her expression was arrogant. Yu Qing's expression changed drastically. Even Tang Mingzhou, who was standing beside her, broke out in a cold sweat. "Susu, don't be rash." Boom. Tang Susu's eyes were resolute. She placed her beautiful index finger on the trigger and pulled it without hesitation. Bang! Yu Qing suddenly closed his eyes, a thought flashing through his mind. Hate comes from love. The expected pain did not come. When he opened his eyes, he saw the girl's playful expression. And that overly ostentatious smile was extremely sweet, but it was also full of provocation. "If you don't like me, then get lost. You're not welcome here. You." Yu Qing was slightly angry and was about to explode. In front of him, Tang Susu lazily opened her fair fingers and revealed the magazine in her palm with an indifferent and disapproving look. The man was stunned. The magazine was full of ammunition, which he had just loaded himself. So he was very clear that once she fired, he would definitely die. But when did she take it off in front of their eyes, and even sent a blank shot to trick him without anyone knowing? Chapter 24. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Purchasing a peerless cultivation technique. Tang Susu turned her head and smiled at Tang Mingzhou. As if she was performing face-changing magic, she said in a sweet voice, "Big brother, don't worry. I won't do anything rash. You little punk." Tang Mingzhou came back to his senses and shook his head in amusement. However, his tone was brimming with pride as he cast a sidelong glance at a certain someone. "If he dares to provoke you again, you can just kill him directly." Yu Cheng's heart was beating so fast that he couldn't calm down. It was clearly the same familiar and loathsome face, but why did he feel a trace of mystery and unfamiliarity? "I'll take this." Tang Susu was holding a 50-centimeter long shotgun rifle with her slender arms, which didn't fit her figure at all. At first glance, she looked like a child who was secretly wearing adult clothes, but in a trance, there was a strong contrast between softness and hardness, and she looked sexy. "Susu, how did you do that just now?" Tang Susu turned around and saw her third brother's handsome face, which was full of admiration and curiosity. "Oh, by playing games. Most of the weapons in shooting games are designed based on real-life archetypes. It just so happened that she had done some research and analysis on this." Tang Mingzhou nodded, but he did not fully understand. "I thought you didn't like to play games. When did you start playing STG? There are many things you don't know." The two of them joked as they left. Yu Cheng coughed lightly. "I won't be staying for dinner. I'll be leaving first." "I didn't ask you to stay for dinner anyway." Tang Mingzhou sounded a little annoyed. In the past, her personality was indeed a bit of a headache, causing Yu Cheng a lot of trouble, but now he couldn't hear a single bad thing. "If necessary, just shut your mouth. My Susu doesn't like you as much as she used to. Don't be ungrateful." In the end, Mrs. Tang asked him to stay and warmly invited him to sit down. Mr. Tang gave him a strange look. Did Yu Cheng have a change of heart? Wasn't Ah Cheng's attitude toward Susu poor, and that he was quite critical of her, and annoyed with her? Mrs. Tang didn't say a word in the face of the whole family's suspicions. She didn't say anything until the children fell asleep. The old man kept pressing her as if he wouldn't let her sleep if she didn't say anything. "You're so annoying." She gave Mr. Tang a kick before speaking unwillingly. "Didn't you hear what Ah Cheng told the boss? He has contacted his second uncle, who will come to pick him up soon. His second uncle is a high-ranking officer. Didn't our Susu say before that we need to rely on the soldiers to build a base to protect our people? If he can bring Susu with him when he leaves, then my heart will be completely at ease." "What? You're going to let him take Susu away?" Mr. Tang suddenly sat up on the bed. "Are you crazy? Although that Yu Cheng is very respectful to us, you know how much he detests Susu behind our backs. Ugh, can't you lower your voice? That's why we should treat him better now. Let's try to make him remember this favor before he leaves. We're going together as a family no matter where we go. I can't bear to leave Susu." "Don't let him bully you," Mr. Tang muttered. "But if our whole family has to trouble his second uncle, then we really should do something to get the biggest guarantee." As they spoke, their voices lowered. On the other side, Tang Susu was deep in thought after listening to the entire conversation between the two. "Host, what do you think of this tapping device? It's going for only 2 million, and there's a 15% discount for today's event. Opportunities like this don't come every day, so we must make a move when the time is nigh." "Shut up. Come back when you find a secret martial arts manual. The more powerful, the better." Her parents must have felt it too. Although this place was good, it was definitely not a place to stay for long. She estimated that she might not be able to hold on for a month. Before that, her experience and credit points alone would not be enough. "Host, you currently only have the gold ring, gold necklace, and silver bangle that you took from the zombies today. They can be exchanged for about 50,000 wealth points. In addition, you still owe me 5 million for an infinite water bottle." An ordinary cultivation technique is already worth 10 million. If the host wants a peerless cultivation technique, it will start from 100 million. Then give me a peerless cultivation technique that starts at 100 million. Dot. Give me the silencer you just introduced. Dot. I also want a super heart pill. Dot. I'll take you to rob a bank tomorrow. Okay. Chapter 25. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Danger. They had only explored half of the villa area yesterday. The next day, Tang Susu set off from the other side to continue her mission. This time, the whole family wasn't on the move, and Mr. and Mrs. Tang stayed at home to learn shooting from their oldest son, Tang Mingjue. After all, the two of them were old, so their physical strength wasn't as good as that of the younger generation. After discussing with her brother, Tang Susu adjusted the training plan. He decided to let them learn the spear for a day and go out for a real battle. No one in the family was left behind. In this post-apocalyptic world where danger lurked everywhere, they were very clear that everyone had to have the strength to protect themselves. Before she left, Tang Susu installed the multi-functional silencer that she had bought last night in the shooting range that her brother had set up. The sound of gunfire notwithstanding, even the sound of talking would not leak out. It would be like a small protective shield. On one hand, she wanted to prevent the zombies from coming after hearing the noise, but on the other, she didn't want other people to get close to their residence. Let's go, second brother, third brother. Wait. Tang Mingqi opened the courtyard door before her. Let me be the vanguard. I'll bring up the rear. Tang Mingqiu carried a big knife that jingled. He'd look like a swordsman if one ignored the fact that his mouth was full of soup dumplings. As soon as they went out, a zombie with half of its body missing ran out from the corner. It was so thin that only a skeleton was left. Its body was badly damaged and covered in gray skin. There was a big bloody hole in its abdomen, and a pile of intestines almost fell out. Although Tang Mingqiu had already adjusted his mentality yesterday and thought he would be unfazed, he still almost vomited. Tang Susu's flashed by, and before her second brother could make a move, she quickly turned her wrist and slashed with the tip of the knife. As if dancing, the zombie's head was cut open, and it fell to the ground. Susu. They looked in disbelief at the young girl whose eyes were slightly curved and who was smiling like a flower. As expected, it's much easier to attack like this. Tang Susu waved her hand, saving half of her strength. I'll tell you guys on the way. The two of them quickly followed. That hand looked so smooth. I didn't even see what happened. That's the movement technique. I just used the first move, the most basic one. After practicing all 30.6 moves, I can move freely in the zombie crowd. What? A legendary martial arts manual. There were even such things. Do you guys want to practice? Tang Susu took out an ancient book that had turned yellow. On it were the words, Agile Movement Technique. The two of them shook their heads in unison. This seems more suitable for girls. They all felt that it wasn't suitable for men like them to move around and use softness to overcome strength. Tang Susu wanted to say that they had misunderstood her. This body movement technique was unpredictable and had hidden sharpness. Every move had its own brilliance, and when used together, it could be called a unique skill. However, in Tong Zi's words, this set of martial arts was very difficult to practice. It was not something that ordinary people could understand. It was very likely that they would not be able to get the essence of it. Even she herself was taking a risk by trying it out, so she did not need to let her brothers waste their time on it. Or, she could let them try it after she had fully understood it. A few more zombies were walking toward them. They were wearing the same clothes as they did recently, which meant that there were probably other survivors in the villa area. The three of them only cared about killing the zombies. No one was prepared to meddle in other people's business. However, helping to clear the zombies nearby was a good deed in itself. Second brother. Tang Susu shouted, and Tang Mingchi immediately rushed forward and stabbed a small and agile zombie. Tang Susu turned around and approached him. She raised her saber and slashed, her posture elegant and graceful. He turned his head again, and the blade drew a smooth arc in the air, hitting the head of a zombie. Beautiful. Tang Mingchu whistled in amazement. He wiped his sweat and joined the battle with his 7-ringed broadsword. Suddenly, Tang Susu's eyes widened. She pushed her third brother to the side and stabbed a sharp fruit knife at her. Chapter 26. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Next level. In a split second, Tang Susu's heart was beating wildly as she executed her first move to the extreme. She shifted her feet, and the tip of the knife grazed her delicate neck. The moment she twisted her body to avoid it, she grabbed the wrist of the sneak attacker and elbowed the fruit knife in her hand. Bang! All of her actions happened in an instant, swiftly and continuously. Tang Mingchi, who had been pushed away, could not help but stagger. He turned around and saw this thrilling scene. F***CKU. He took a big step forward aggressively and kicked the woman who came out of nowhere to the ground. I dare you to touch her again. The 18-year-old teenager's eyes turned red as he gritted his teeth. The well-dressed lady grunted and got up again. You killed my son. My poor son. I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. Tang Mingchi quickly kicked away the fruit knife on the ground, causing her to grab nothing. The lady pounced on him hysterically and grabbed his collar. It's you. You killed him. You murderer, you're going to be arrested and shot to death. A cold and hard gun barrel was pressed against the back of her head. Who are you shooting? He asked in a surly voice. The lady's face changed. You, don't mess around. Tang Susu pointed the gun at her hair and ordered, get your dirty hands off me. The woman let go of him in a daze and suddenly burst into tears. She fell to the ground and crawled towards a corpse on the ground. My son, it's all mother's fault. I'm so useless. I couldn't avenge you and let you die so miserably. She picked up a man in striped pajamas. It was the zombie they had just killed. What the hell? Tang Mingchu felt that it was ridiculous. He turned into a zombie and died a long time ago. How can you say that we killed him? He didn't die. You guys killed him. The lady shrieked, he's just sick. He'll be fine after seeing a doctor. You have to compensate my son. Tang Susu was so angry that she laughed. Fine, since you don't want to admit that he's dead, you can go and hug the one in front. I'll give you a son as compensation. The lady was stunned. She looked up and saw a female zombie hobbling toward them with her head tilted. Drag. Drag. Why should I listen to you? Sure, let's go. Tang Susu held her brother's hand and left. The woman was so frightened that she got up and ran into the villa next door without looking back. Tang Mingchi was about to kill the female zombie but was stopped by Tang Susu. Keep it. It'll be a good companion for her, in case she tries to extort us for killing her children again. Tang Mingchi took a closer look. The young female zombie looked like her son, and she was wearing the same pajamas. It has really grown to a new height. Tang Susu looked at the male zombie thoughtfully. If zombies didn't eat human flesh in a short time, they would quickly become thin and become extremely ugly. The people nearby were obviously hiding and didn't dare to come out, so the zombies they encountered in succession were all skin and bones. However, the male zombie was in a good condition, so good that he didn't fit in with the other zombies. If he hadn't been killed by them, he might have been upgraded to a tier 2 zombie. Damn it. I almost got them. Behind the door, the woman's eyes were filled with hatred as she stared at their departing figures. Chapter 27. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The mysterious man. After leaving the scene of the incident, Tang Susu killed a few more zombies wandering outside. With the first move and the help of her two brothers, she finally got 18 points. At that moment, 008 popped up. Congratulations to the host for completing a C.level exploration mission. You have received 1 point. Let's go. We're almost done cleaning up. Let's go back. He said. The Tsuade Lake Gardens had a total of 32 buildings that were built around the lake. They were scattered among the green trees and were randomly placed. The distance between the buildings was also relatively far. Hence, it took them a lot of time to investigate. Fortunately, along the way, they found many security threats, which they solved along the way. For the time being, the villa area was built into a small closed shelter. Tang Mingqi lifted his sweat-drenched white T-shirt, revealing a small area of his sexy thin muscles. He couldn't wait to walk in front and was prepared to rush back to take a fragrant hot bath and then eat a delicious meal. It was simply too satisfying. Second brother, third brother, let's go look for something fun to do. When they passed by the door, Tang Susu blinked her eyes and said in a slightly suggestive tone. The teenager, who had already pulled a long distance away, quickly retreated. Is it fun? Let's grab and go. Tang Mingqi immediately looked at the bank's business point outside the iron gate. Yesterday, Susu stared at it and showed a little expression of interest. Thinking of this, he opened the iron door without hesitation. Let's go and take it down. Hey! Wait, are you guys cosplaying as robbers? Bring me along. Get lost. Shush, lower your voice. Tang Susu realized that the large group of zombies that had blocked the door yesterday had disappeared. It was too quiet. Walking out of the gate, the endless street was desolate and dead silent, leaving only traces of fighting and dark blood. Susu frowned. Suddenly, a leaflet that had fallen to the ground was blown up by the wind, but it stopped in mid-air for a moment. This was definitely not a common sight. Tang Susu's back tensed up, and she immediately summoned the system in her mind. There was no response. What's wrong? Tang Mingqi was hypersensitive and quickly noticed her tension. He had never seen her like this in so many days and in so many dangerous situations. It was like a weak little animal that had sensed a threat nearby and instantly erected its barbs. I don't know, it's an indescribable feeling. Tang Susu looked around vigilantly. In the next second, the aura that made her feel uneasy disappeared, and she heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, 008 said in a weak voice as if he had just been fished out of water, they are so powerful. What? Tang Susu didn't hear it clearly. At the end of the alley, what seemed to be a tall man stepped out of the void and quickly condensed into a figure, but his footsteps stopped for a moment. Have we been discovered? His hoarse voice was wrapped in a layer of numbing sexiness and a slight, almost negligible temptation. Boss. A beautiful woman in a tight-fitting red dress caught up with him, panting. She was surprised and helpless. Why did you come to South City? I'm on a mission here to send Elder Xing's grandson back safely. Before she could finish her sentence, the cold and imposing man disappeared from her sight again. It was like an invisible wind that disappeared in a jiffy, leaving no ripples behind. The woman's face was dejected, knowing that she could never catch up with him. If he hadn't suddenly stopped, she wouldn't have had the chance to talk to him. Though he did not say a word. She looked at the direction he left in and clenched her fists. Bang! As the heavy, specially made metal door fell, large amounts of cash filled the vault. Damn it! Tang Mingqi, who was always calm, was no longer calm. An entire wall. So much money. I'll wipe it. I'll wipe it. What a tender pink color. It's all over the room. I've never liked pink so much before. Ha ha ha, I'm rich. Tang Susu put away her grape shotgun and laughed as she watched her two brothers dive into the ocean of cash like excited seals and swim with exaggerated movements. After the apocalypse, these banknotes are like waste paper. You can't buy anything with them. Chapter 28. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Turning trash into treasure, sweeping through the shops, the two of them froze. Yes, they still had their previous knowledge and almost forgot that the apocalypse was the node to overthrow all rules. But just as they were about to crawl out of the money that they were drowning in, the girl suddenly grabbed a handful of cash and threw it at them. Her laughter was crisp and joyful. The things that are useless to you are very useful to me. I can turn waste into treasure and buy many things in the shop. With a few whooshes and a wave of her hand, the pink in the vault disappeared, leaving only the cold white wall. This time, it was 008's turn to cry out in excitement. The two young men were caught off guard and fell to the ground, but they were not upset at all. They watched the girl continue to plunder the other valuable items in the bank like a diligent little hamster. Foreign exchange, gold bricks, and expensive goods were only the beginning. Because Tsuade Lake Garden was built next to a scenic area, it was considered a luxury property. Many rich people settled there to maintain their health. The occupancy rate was up to 30%, and some expensive items would be deposited in the bank for safekeeping. In a space that was even wider than the vault, rows of rectangular safes glowed with a cold silver light. Tang Susu moved nimbly. Under the instructions of the system, she opened a safe with the universal lock-picking tool. Her hands moved as fast as lightning, and she quickly stored the jewelry and gold bars into the system. F***CK. Tang Mingqi and Tang Mingchu were dumbfounded. They didn't expect their sister to have the potential to do this. Half an hour later, more than 100 safes with valuable items had been emptied by her. She didn't even let go of the cash in the ATM and the counter. She took everything away but was still a little unsatisfied, as if she was addicted. There are many shops along the street that are open. Shall we go and have a look? Tang Mingqi said dotingly. Tang Susu's eyes lit up. She had thought that it was time to go back so that the people at home wouldn't worry. However, under the consoling gazes of her two brothers, she decided to let herself go completely. Hurry up. With the three of them working together, one of them broke into the shop, one of them went to the cashier to get the money, and the other one collected the available materials in the shop. They were so fast that they left nothing behind, like a swarm of locusts. Because the apocalypse broke out in the middle of the night, most of the shops here were closed. A few, however, had been smashed, such as a convenience store chain nearby. The food and water on the shelves were all gone, leaving only some towels, toothpaste, cigarettes, and so on. Regardless of the consequences, he accepted it as a form of respect. Tang Mingqi and Tang Mingchu didn't just watch. They each carried a big bag. They didn't have to be smooth. They acted like bandits, which made Tang Susu speechless. Fortunately, handsome men looked good no matter what they did, and their rough behavior did not affect their attractive looks. Phew, I'm so tired. Tang Mingchu fell back into the chair and was about to catch his breath. Run. I think I heard zombies. While collecting supplies, Tang Mingqi looked into the wind from time to time and quickly discovered the situation. Tang Susu was just about to put away the last string of pearl necklaces. Compared to the heavy mountaineering bags that her two brothers were carrying, it was much easier for her to go empty-handed. O.org. The three of them jogged through the door and saw a large group of zombies behind them. It was the same group of zombies from yesterday. However, Susu's sharp eyes noticed that there were many wounds of various sizes on their bodies. They were all in the same shape, as if they had been cut by countless knives. An ability user. Including the strange scene that she had seen earlier, this was the only answer she could think of. She hadn't finished Apocalyptic Love, so she wasn't sure what other characters and settings there would be. It was just that the plot was too Mary Sue, and all the males couldn't help but fall in love with the female lead, which made it difficult for her to look at it directly. However, according to the official announcement, there would be hidden characters appearing in the later stages, which made everyone look forward to it. Tang Susu had once seen a cold and tall back on the official gaming account. It was a man named Shin Jiding. Chapter 29. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The troublemaker is here. The three locked the door and quickened their pace. A large group of people walked towards them. They were all dressed in an extraordinary manner, but their movements were aggressive. Everyone had an angry expression on their faces as they blocked their way. You bunch of brats. Who allowed you to open the door? There are heaps of zombies outside. Are you letting them in to kill us? A tall and strong man in a security uniform took the lead and rushed over. He pointed an electric baton at them angrily and asked, "Which villa are you the owners of?" As he spoke, his eyes glowed and he quickly glanced at their bulging backpacks. Tang Mingchu pushed away the electric baton that was almost pointing at his face. Who do you think you are? Why should I tell you? Don't refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. The security guard's face darkened. If you can't tell me where you're staying, then get out. We don't welcome outsiders here. Tang Mingchi, who was in charge of renting the house, was about to speak when. There's no need to ask. They're not the owners of Tsuedi Lake Gardens. I'm the manager of the property, and I've never seen them before. A bespectacled woman walked out and interrupted him. The other dozen or so people's expressions immediately changed. This is a villa that we bought with money. Any Tom, Dick, or Harry dares to barge in. Get out. I don't know if he was bitten or injured by the zombies outside. If we let them stay inside and get infected, we'll all be dead. Tang Susu quietly watched the back and forth volley. Her calmness formed a sharp contrast with the two brothers who were holding back their anger and were about to die. It was hard to figure it out. A plump man with a big belly had noticed this soft and beautiful little beauty with black hair from the beginning. Her face was tender, white, and soft, making people want to touch it. She had a ponytail and was wearing a simple black casual suit, which made her skin look as clear as jade. It was hard to tell what kind of figure she had under the loose clothes. Tang Mingchi noticed his lecherous gaze and immediately pulled Tang Susu behind him, covering her up. He clenched his fists tightly to stop himself from rushing over and beating him up. We're renting a villa here. What's the matter? We've spent money and signed the contract. What's your problem? Who knows if you're telling the truth or not? That's right. You almost let the zombies in just now. Who knows if you will continue to do this next time? Don't talk nonsense with them, hurry up and get out. Tang Mingchi's handsome face blushed slightly. He wanted to explain something, but Tang Susu pinched his finger. According to what you're saying, do I have reason to suspect that you're not from Tsuedi Lake Gardens? She smiled and looked sweet and pleasant, but her tone was so sharp that it made people's breathing stop. Shouldn't I kick you out as well? In an instant, everyone looked at her. This little girl who they had not taken seriously at first. Bullshit. A young girl who was about the same age as her said angrily, I live in villa number 9. My dad bought this villa for me. As he spoke, he exuded a sense of superiority. The security guard glared at her. Idiot. Did they want to find out if these people lived here? What they wanted was a legitimate reason to suppress this group of young people, make them hand over the supplies, and then use them. He didn't expect that when these two boys almost fell into his trap, this girl would suddenly turn the tables. At this time, Tang Susu's soft eyes fell on him. Do you think you can pretend to be someone here just because you're wearing a security uniform? Don't think I don't know that you're using these people to achieve your own goals. In an instant, the well-dressed business owners all looked at the security guard with strange expressions, because Tang Susu's words seemed to be certain, as if she knew something. The security guard's heart tightened, but his expression did not change. You brat, do you know what you're saying? Chapter 30. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sowing discord. Otherwise, why aren't you at your post? Tang Susu pointed at the empty security room with a puzzled look. You said that we brought danger to you when we went out, but how much danger did you bring to everyone when you left the camp without permission? Since the start of the apocalypse, you, as a security guard, have been missing. Now that you've seen us go out, you've come to question us. You don't know how many people sneaked out and snuck in when you weren't here. Some of them were even ruffians, hooligans, and fugitives. A group of well-dressed owners suddenly gasped, suddenly realizing that these safety hazards were only one problem. If the security guards could return to their posts, it might not be a bad thing for them. Hence, they all went along with Tang Susu's words. Yes, if you're really a security guard, you should guard the door well. What if someone doesn't want to open the door and opens it? What a joke. What kind of situation is this? You still have to work. The woman who claimed to be a property manager pushed her glasses up and said sarcastically, if some of you are from the communications department, why didn't you go back to your posts and restore the nation's communications? Then it's settled. Tang Susu smiled and spread her hands helplessly. Even if you are from the property management, what right do you have to control us? You can't be so biased. You're not fulfilling your duties, but you want to enjoy your rights. The woman realized that she had been tricked and her expression changed. However, before she could explain, the girl's sweet voice sounded again. He's in charge of us tenants today, but I'm afraid he'll have to deal with them tomorrow. I didn't know that property management, facilities, and venues had such power that they could manage the people they were serving. The owners couldn't help but frown again. When they thought about how they had been listening to the arrangements of these two people for the past 2 days, a sense of rejection arose in their hearts. We pay tens of thousands of yuan in property fees every month. You don't make the decisions for us. That's right. The property management took so much money from us. They should do their job and guard Suadi Lake Gardens from the zombies. In the end, they followed us into the villa and lived a good life. Hee hee. Hee hee. All of a sudden, the group that had united to deal with Tang Susu was divided into two. And the spearhead was pointed at the security guards and property management. The security guard's face was dark. This brat has such a sharp tongue. She's still trying to change the topic. When Tang Susu turned the situation around, Tang Mingqi quickly understood her intentions and secretly marveled at his sister's wisdom. He smiled calmly. What did we change the topic about? First, we're people who have spent money to live here. Second, even though we went out, we didn't let any zombies in, and we didn't cause any harm to you. Most importantly, not only were we not injured, but we also spent 2 days helping you clean up the zombies near the villa. You probably saw what we were doing and knew that there were no zombies nearby, so you dared to come out. Several of the owners immediately avoided eye contact. Tang Mingqi sneered. You didn't say anything about this and still want to bully the young and the young. This is what you rich people do. Cut the crap. Who knows if we'll be so lucky next time. You have to compensate us with supplies. Yes, in the future, whoever goes out to find supplies will be at risk. We should share some with the others. Damn it. I've never seen such a shameless person. Tang Mingqiu slammed the big knife on his shoulder on the ground. He looked around and said fiercely, can you stop being so hypocritical and disgusting? If you want supplies, just say it. If you have the ability, go out and find them yourself. Kid, you can't say that. We're trying to reason with you. If you don't listen, don't blame us for being impolite. The fat man just now gave everyone a look, and a group of people immediately rushed forward, trying to snatch their backpacks. He wanted to seize the opportunity to catch Tang Susu.